Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Let's see. Is this a good transition? Is this a fair transition? I'll say it. Speaking of a somewhat less interesting movie, um, boy, is it 2022? Because I finally saw Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is that this was something I had been intending to watch with my dad, and my mom doesn't necessarily care about this sort of movies, so it's hard to get 3 hours with him where she isn't around necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I think I'm going to operate on the assumption that you have seen this movie if you're remotely interested in Spider-Man and clicked on this video.
Yes.
So I'm not going to go too deep into a blow-by-blow plot summary. Um, but just to quickly catch you up, this is a sequel to the previous Spider-Man movie, which ended with Mysterio framing Spider-Man for an attack. Um, and as he died, he got Peter blamed for his death and revealed his secret identity, which
Yes.
results in an Alex Jones-ified J. Jonah Jameson leading a worldwide smear campaign against him.
Yes. Yeah. And all of his of course all of Peter's friends and Aunt May all get dragged into it, and yeah, it gets ugly.
Yep. And so Spider-Man goes to, and then the thing that really sets this movie off is that he and his friends graduate from high school, but none of them are able to get into MIT. And Peter's perspective, it's one thing if they don't let him into MIT because of the danger that he poses,
Yeah.
but his friends are suffering on his behalf.
Yeah.
So he goes to Doctor Strange and tries to get magical assistance, uh,
Yeah.
which, which Doctor Strange, just naturally assumes, well, of course Peter would have talked to them first.
Yeah.
And he's in the middle of casting the spell that Peter keeps making him add caveats to that makes it go completely out of control.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, and yeah, he's like, well, the only option is to just go talk to the college admissions and see if they'll change their mind. Like, wait, I can do that? Like,
Peter, you Gen Z beta.
yeah.
You what do you call it? You conflict averse simp.
Yeah.
And I say
Yes.
these words because that is a criticism I level at myself occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
But yeah, so the results of this is that because Peter tried to make exceptions to people who would forget that he was Spider-Man, it ended up being a spell that would bring in everybody who knew who Peter Parker and Spider-Man were from across the multiverse. This results in a collection of the movie villains showing up. Because since, one of the funny things about most of these Spider-Man movies is that where in the comic books, very few people actually figure out who he is. Every villain in every movie, I think, figures out who he is by the end of it.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
There might be, okay, actually no, because if Electro didn't know in his movie, how would he? Anyways, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's from an Alex Kurtzman movie. If we're willing to just let them make some changes.
Right. Yeah. And it just says this movie both fixes and confirm why I hate MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
into that. So highlight of the movie is definitely his scenes with the two other Spider-Men, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Uh, the three of them have great chemistry. It's like three brothers or three cousins who showing up. It's interesting because they don't really know each other, but they've lived each other's lives, so they just have an immediate rapport. And
Yeah.
and that comes across very well with the actors.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought so too. And I seem to recall a part in there where Andrew Garfield tells Tommy McGuire, "You're like, yeah, you're just like a youth pastor,
Yes, a cool youth pastor.
cool youth pastor." Yeah.
Let's see. Alfred Molina, it was really nice seeing him as Doctor Octopus again.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
One thing I noticed that was kind of funny was that so there's the MCU quippiness in there, and uh, Peter's kind of inflicted with it, but that's he Spider-Man's always been like that.
Mm.
But I noticed that the characters from the Sam Raimi universe didn't really get the Marvel quip treatment. In fact, at one point, Aunt May makes this weird question for Doctor Octopus if he wanted regular or salt water, and he just looks at her like she's grown a third head.
Yeah,
Not even just a second head. Like we're past that level of weirdness into a third head.
yeah,
Where the Andrew Garfield and actually there were no there were no Holland Spider-Man villains because he's left a pile of corpses in his wake. Realistically,
yeah.
um, I would say that this is the least insufferable that Zendaya's MJ is in the movies I've seen.
Hmm.
Like, there were scenes where I actually believed that she had chemistry with Tom Holland, which is good because, as far as I know, they're still dating.
Oh yeah,
At the very least, they were dating around the time the movie was made.
yeah, yeah,
But the thing is that I just find her character a bit obnoxious, and this movie didn't
yeah.
really fix that, though it toned. I felt like it toned her down a bit, or there were just fewer scenes where she was in a position to be obnoxious.
I think probably the latter. That yeah, she's not in it as much to be obnoxious. Yeah.
Ned Leeds is still kind of the fat comic relief.
Mm. Although
Um,
he does get a little more to do in this movie because
right,
you
since
yeah,
he has magic in his family.
yes, yeah,
Um, as far as the fight scenes go, I thought there were some nice set pieces. I would say that things that they've kind of written themselves away is that now you can't do an MCU version of Oscorp because Norman Osborn ends up stuck in our universe and can't find an Oscorp.
right, yeah,
Uh,
which I think is a mistake because he's Norman Osborn is kind of essential to Peter's growth
well,
and character. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true for the Tom Holland Spider-Man because the other thing I noticed was that uh, so again, I'm assuming you've seen the movie. I'm just giving my commentary on it. If
Yeah.
you get spoiled, that's on your own head.
Yeah.
I noticed at the end when they had Aunt May's grave,
Mhm.
you know what there wasn't sitting next to it?
Uncle Ben.
There was no Uncle Ben grave.
Yeah.
I think he might have gotten mentioned in passing once in his introduction in Captain America: Civil War. I have not gotten around to seeing the first of his Spider-Man movies, so I don't know if Uncle Ben got a name drop there.
Uh, he he's kind of mentioned in passing when Ned finds out that he's Spider-Man,
Okay,
and he said and Ned's like, well, does your Aunt May know? And Peter's like, no, I can't tell her because of everything that's happened.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think in the second one, yeah, Ninja says yeah they only mentioned him once, and then in the Far From Home, I think Peter had his briefcase because it had his initials on there.
Okay. Yeah, Iron Man is more his mentor slash Uncle Ben
Yeah.
in these movies.
Mhm.
So it kind of does a disservice to the character, though I understand why they would get the idea to do it like that because we've had in our universe we'd had two Spider-Man trilogies in the course of 15 years, or excuse me, we'd had five Spider-Man movies in the course of that many years with you know two Uncle Bens.
Yeah.
So I can see wanting to differentiate the character
Mhm.
and tie him more into the MCU mythos, but it kind of robs him of his ability to stand alone. Which,
Yeah. Yeah.
which the fact that this is one of the better movies featuring the character, and what do you know, he doesn't stand alone here
Yeah.
because there's two other Spider-Men.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would go from here. Um, Presumably, this character is showing up again, if only because his last movie made nearly $2 billion.
Yeah, yeah. I think they. Well, the franchise is such a mess right now.
Yeah,
With all the reshoots that they've had to do for Captain America 4,
right.
and from what I hear, Thunderbolts is probably not going to be very good.
To be
You
fair, I
know,
don't think that like peak MCU would have been able to make Thunderbolts interesting.
yeah,
And Ninja brings up a good point. The biggest problem with the MCU version of Spider-Man is that they made him too nice and good. He doesn't have a spine nor a rage that drives him to make dumb decisions. Maybe
mhm.
that's part of the reason why I don't like Zendaya MJ is because Tom Holland is so spineless that he uh, he can't stand up to her. So her, it's almost like she's constantly giving him tests that he fails.
Yeah,
It's like, hey, you know, will you push back? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Um, I will say that in this movie, his desire to kill Norman Osborn was sold very well.
Mhm.
Tom Holland is actually a pretty good actor.
Yeah,
I think he'll be playing 18-year-olds until he's 40
yeah.
with his boyish good looks. But um, like that scene where Aunt May had been laid low,
Mhm.
I had known that she died. I mostly avoided other spoilers, but I knew that much.
Oh, yeah,
Um, but it still kind of hit me hard. So that,
yeah,
it's like, I'll call that a good sign.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so overall, this is definitely the best post Endgame Marvel movie I've seen, which isn't a super high bar, but I would say this is at least like a 7 or 8.
Okay.
Um, Also, when I saw the end credits and I saw how they were trying to tie this into Multiverse of Madness,
Oh, yeah,
you lying dogs! You
yeah.
made it sound like it was going to be Doctor Strange dealing with the consequences of messing with the multiverse in this movie with the help of Scarlet Witch.
And that's not what we got.
Not even remotely what we got. I mean, they had
Yeah,
America Chavez in there, so that was accurate at least. But
yeah,
still,
yeah.
you liars.
Yeah. Oh, Ninja, man. He said
Uh, You
he like
know,
the Ultimate Spider-Man was better than MCU Spider-Man.
you know what? I'll agree with that. And I was a big fan of Ultimate Spider-Man back in the day,
Mm.
at least the Bendis run. Back when he could write a good comic.
No, yeah.
But yeah, if for some reason you've sat through this and had me spoil major revelations, uh, I'd say give this a shot. We know that the character is going to come back in some form again because unless Tom Holland has managed to weasel his way out of the contract,
Yeah.
um, they're going to have this Spider-Man be front and center in Avengers 5, whatever form that ends up taking.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and yeah, or yeah, whenever they make that movie, if it.
yeah. Now that they don't have Kang anymore.
Oh, yeah. Mm. We all know whose fault that is.
Yep.
Jerk. But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, this I actually need to go back and rewatch this movie because I haven't watched it in a couple of years. So, but yeah, I remember enjoying it when I first watched it, and and like you, I enjoyed seeing Alfred Molina again as Doc Ock. And yeah, yeah, definitely the best post MC or post Endgame MCU movie. Which, yeah, it's like as you said, not really saying much. I mean, um,
It's a fine movie if you're grading on a curve or just in absolute terms.
yes, yeah, yeah. I would say the only two MCU movies that I've liked after Endgame were like this one and Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
Shang-Chi was like passable,
yeah,
but not great. But
yeah,
that was the one that I watched that I didn't hate completely.
yeah, yeah. You spared yourself the Eternals.
Yeah, we still underpay you for being our Disney Plus correspondent for jumping on that grenade.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh
Uh, and then the other thought I have is that I remember when this movie came out, there was a bunch of big talk about giving Andrew Garfield a third Spider-Man movie.
hmm
For as much as a Spider-Man movie costs to make, they are not going to do that. But
yeah.
if you wanted to do like a Disney Plus animated movie to wrap up his trilogy and give him a happier ending than losing Gwen on his second go around,
Yeah.
I think people would be cool with that.
Yes. Yeah. Although that part when he saved MJ, I thought in this movie was really good.
Yeah, everybody got a nice. Everyone got moments to shine.
Yeah.
I also had a fun little nod to Toby Maguire's real life back issues
Oh
when they
yeah.
had Andrew help them stretch out.
Yeah. Yeah. He hurt that was during the Spider-Man 2, I think, was when he hurt his
I
back.
think
Yeah.
Seabiscuit too
Oh, Seabiscuit. Yeah. Yeah.
is what I seem to recall hearing at the time. And but they probably made a joke about that in Spider-Man 2, considering that whole I'm
Oh
back"
yeah.
falls onto a car.
Oh my.
My back."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.